George W., hello.
Howdy the other George W. I mean Mr. Washington.
I can't believe this nonsense in Wisconsin.
I know it. Daggum Cowboys screwed the pooch again. We'll get another year of Green Bay Packer nonsense.
Who? I'm talking about collective bargaining.
Oh sure, of course.
Folks are comparing it to what Adolf Hitler did.
The Germans do like cheese.
You nitwit. Do you know when public employees were guaranteed collective bargaining?
Of course, in the Bill of Rights.
No. Try 1959. Did you know that 24 other states limit or ban collective bargaining? Why? Because it creates a legally enforced cartel of labor for government. The government is forced to arrange labor with one union and cannot go elsewhere if they do not like the terms.
Why are they called rights?
That's a much deeper question than you realize, George. Rights define what others cannot do to you. For example, the right to free speech means that others cannot tell you what to say or not say. Your rights protect you from infringement by the government and others. Collective bargaining define rights of force, not of protection. They define what you are allowed to do by force to another against their will. You are allowed to force the employer to hire no one other than from your union. You are allowed to force employees to pay union dues even if they don't want that. Collective bargaining defines a right of force that supersedes others' rights of freedom.
Why do they want that?
Imagine if you were only allowed to buy groceries from one store. You could say that that store would have collective bargaining rights over you. What would happen?
They probably wouldn't carry the jerky I like.
Well, yes. You would also pay a lot more for your food, as much as the store could get you to pay. Public sector unions are even worse than a normal cartel.
Cartels are illegal, right?
Yes, the Sherman Act bans cartels. However, unions are exempted from this law.
OPEC is a cartel.
Yes, thank you, George. Buyers from most cartels don't like them. But with the public union, the politician on the other side of the bargaining table often wants to pay more for labor.
Huh?
Yes, if I'm a politician, by paying more for union workers, I can guarantee their support in the next election. And they give big. Different public unions rank as the number 2, 7, 9 and 14 biggest political donors. And they are much more likely to vote than regular folks.
But you have raised taxes to pay for it. And if you do, George W. will come at you with both guns blazing.
Not exactly. If I give a generous retirement health benefit, it costs me nothing today. It is paid out 20 or 30 years from now. Pension costs are routinely underestimated, meaning I don't have to pay for the benefit I just gave today. It is for future taxpayers to worry about.
You ever hear the story about what Rummy and I did to Tony Blair?
George, pay attention. So we have a cartel, legally enforced, negotiating with a politician who benefits from overpaying. Do you think public employees are overpaid?
That's a difficult question, Mr. Washington. Comparing public pay to private pay is prone to error, as the workforces are comprised of different skill sets.
Very well said, George. However, there is another way to tell if they are overpaid.
What's that?
Imagine you put an ad in the paper stating that you would like to buy a used Ford truck for $100,000.
At that price I better get a bedliner.
What do you think will happen?
Every Tom, Dick and Harry is going to line up to sell me his truck.
Of course. If you pay above the market rate, you'll have oversupply.
I like that fancy talk.
You can see the same thing in the labor market. In 2007, the Oakland Fire Department opened 23 positions for hire. 2,000 applicants started camping outside the fire station 2 nights before just to get in line to file an application.
Gosh darn.
Yes, they literally pushed and shoved just to try and submit an application. The existing firefighters ended up picking applicants by hand out of the crowd, mostly friends and family, including the chief's son.
How much does a firefighter in California make?
It's hard to say, not all their compensation data is public. In Vallejo, a town not far from Oakland, it was recently revealed that each fireman costs on average about $269,000 per year.
I don't believe that.
It's true. You have to include the cost of their pension and health benefits. A fireman in California can retire at 50 with 90% of his salary plus full health coverage until he dies. A fire chief recently walked away with a yearly pension of $246,000. Did you know that over 12,000 public employees in California have a pension over $100,000 per year?
That's Halliburton-type money.
Yes, it's ridiculous. If you want to know if your public employees are overpaid, just check and see how hard it is to get one of their jobs. Try becoming a firefighter or policeman in California or New York or New Jersey. It's impossible.
Hell, I want to volunteer to be a firefighter. Wearing an oxygen mask, taking down doors with an axe. Awesome.
Many folks would jump at the opportunity to take those jobs at a fraction of the cost. Of course, the only people who really care about the cost are the taxpayers, not the politicians signing the contracts. This is leading to government either cutting services or raising taxes for no reason other than to keep a class of workers looting the taxpayers. Public servants have become a class apart from the rest.
Want to see a class apart from the rest? Check this out.
That was something to behold. Thank you, George. Shall I continue? Maybe this will get your attention. Do you know that in some states, the elected official, say the governor or the mayor, cannot even make the decision on employee compensation?
What? George W. is a decider. He isn't going to like that.
It's called binding arbitration. An arbitrator, not the elected official, makes the call. How can a democracy allow an unelected official to decide how public money gets spent and how public servants do their jobs? It's the union contract, not the will of the people, that governs. For example, the unions want young teachers laid off first, regardless of merit, which is obviously not what voters want. Yet the union and the arbitrator decide, not the voters. Collective bargaining is about a group of people trying to take the power of government away from the people and use it for their own purposes.
So does getting rid of collective bargaining solve the problem?
It helps. Public employees will still remain a special interest group that politicians would like to reward for support. But without collective bargaining, there is not a good way to coordinate the gift in exchange for the support.
Man, you ever think about running for office?